Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I have a special guest here. I want to jump into some real good conversation with Michael here with us. Before we jump into it, I want to just say, hey, look, if you're new to the channel, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Michael, thanks so much for making it here. I'm glad you're here with us. And before we get into the real meat and potatoes topic, why don't you just give the folks a little bit of I don't know, a backdrop of who you are, kind of where you served, that type of stuff, what branch, and all that good stuff, and then we'll jump into the actual topic.
All right. Well, so I am a 23-year retired Army veteran. I did retire. I retired in upstate New York. Drove a truck for about 2.5 years, and then I was looking to come back into the automotive industry. And that is the long and short of how we are here
Yeah,
now. So,
yeah, nice. So 23 years with the Army, man. That's pretty sweet. That's a good stretch. Um, I'm this is kind of off topic, but because this is what I'm usually geared in on, it just always pops in my head. Are you squared away with the VA? You got your rating, all that good stuff? I'm
everything is
assuming.
good. Yes,
Yeah, good.
it can
Outstanding.
always be a little frustrating, but everything is good to go with the VA. So,
Yeah, good deal. So, one of the things that I talk about is all of the different benefits that the VA has besides disability compensation, right? Obviously, there's the medical aspects, and then obviously we also have school benefits like post 9/11 GI Bill. We also have VRNE, Veterans Readiness and Employment, which is also a great program, both of which, if utilized appropriately, could lead to a very lucrative future financially. And I think, and I'm sure you would agree, in your many years of military service, more people that got out along the way, right, than actually made it through to retirement. That a lot of times I think that we tend to focus on just getting that housing allowance, if you will. It's like, oh, I got to sign up for school so I can get the housing allowance. But next thing you know, you got some useless degree. Now, not all degrees are useless. Don't get me wrong. But if it's not up here and you're actually having an end goal in mind, it could really hamper things. So this is one of the reasons why I talk about ADI so much, the Automotive Dealership Institute, which is a 4-week program and helps train folks up utilizing post 9/11 GI Bill or utilizing VRNE. So it's no money out of your pocket. 4 weeks, bam, then they help you find that job. You, sir, have went through this program, and I want to get kind of you alluded to it for a minute, and you talked about you were driving truck, and then you wanted to get back into the automotive industry in a different capacity. And I want to hear from you when you're looking at getting a job in the automotive field, specifically as a finance manager, and you don't have any hard experience in that. I mean, what goes through your head? Like, do you think I got it? How can I bridge that gap? Right? I'm sure you thought about that. What is a way that I can go from here to here? So I just want to hear your story on your mindset. What made you decide to go to ADI?
well, so the automotive industry can be very competitive. It can be a very cruel business if you don't have present experience. It's basically, what have you done for me today? So I knew that when I started looking to go back into the industry, and I knew I needed to do something that would set me apart and really just give me that opportunity. And that's why I started looking into ADI, the in-depth. There's different schools out there, but they focus on a menu selling type operation. It's not really about the in-depth of what goes on in the finance office, the compliance issues, the regulations that are involved, how the business has changed since I was in before I started the military.
Whoa,
So
wow.
and when so through the research, I found that ADI, while they do talk about a menu, it is really, I'd say 90% is just all about compliance and regulation. They have professors there that have been in the industry within the last year, have been well over 30, 40 years experience. So the experience that they offer, the guidance that they provide, the curriculum, everything was just phenomenal. And that's why I chose ADI, because it is a 4-week school. You mentioned just getting a degree that doesn't mean anything. I think that's what it's veterans. That's what we do. But I was looking for something that's very practical, that doesn't take 2 years to get, and that can get me moving in an industry that, I can feel like I can maximize my worth and my
Yeah.
potential. So
Yeah.
that's why I chose ADI.
So because you've been around the industry before and after your time in service, and you've been there, you have a different perspective, I think. So what do you think is the likelihood of somebody landing a finance manager position without any sort of training? A organization that would train you where they hired you. What's that likelihood versus going to a 4-week course to get you ramped up?
I think the likelihood increases exponentially. I know that, like I said, my prior experience meant nothing when I came back out and started looking for a job after ADI.
Mm-hmm.
And they not only go over everything you need to know to get you started in the business in
Yeah.
that finance position, but they're going to walk you through how to interview, the key terms that people are looking for, uh, how to apply,
Right.
how to submit a resume, how to follow up with it, how not to be pushy, but be aggressive at the same time. And I personally used all of those techniques when I got out of the school, and within a week I had a job.
Wow.
So I would say that, I mean, their program is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can't speak highly enough about them.
That
It has done exactly what I wanted it to do for me. And they give you the opportunity. It's just on you to make that opportunity happen and take advantage of it.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, right? I mean, nobody can want it more than you. And as long as you know the direction you want to go, this is really a rapid fire approach to really bridge that gap in a very quick time frame. As far as the education that you're learning there in that, I mean, quick down and dirt. I mean, it's probably like going to an NCO school or senior NCO school where they're just, blasting you with information, right? So at least that's how I envision it. And you are learning, from my understanding, and I want to hear your take on it. But the things that you're learning, like the software system, right? The computer systems that you have to use, what the contracts look like as they're being printed out, how to read that stuff. And I mean, look, I've bought 40 something cars probably in my life. And, I know I got to sign in a bunch of places. That's all I really know. Right. So, for somebody who is absolutely green to the industry, green to finance, I mean, I get it. You're drinking out of a fire hose, but they're giving you all the information, right? That you're going to need to be successful. And based on your experience, how applicable and how transferable is what you learn versus the practical application, right? We all know in the military, right? Sometimes you go to a school for something and it's kind of there, but then when you go do it, it's like, look, here's how you work this, here's how you do that. I know they taught you this, but this is really how the rubber meets the road. So,
Right.
tell me how transferable that education is. Is that transition fairly easy? Because now all of a sudden the training wheels are off.
So that's funny you say that, because that's what I wanted to see when I did start at the position I got, was, okay, is this, this is the way we teach it, but this is the way we do it. And
Right.
I will tell you, everything they go through, it is a lot of information, and it's not a check the block type school like some military schools. No matter what you do, you're going to get through.
Right.
It's definitely not that way, but they just take the time, and the way they explain it, what to expect when you get somewhere, kind of the inner workings of the dealership. Like I said, it's not just a menu selling school. We learned about what each and every position, the sales manager, the GM, a finance director, what everyone should be doing. And I think that perspective helps a ton when you get into a dealership,
Yeah.
because you can kind of put yourself in the mindset of that sales manager to understand, okay, this is what he's thinking, so this is what I'm thinking. And it's all about communication.
Right.
And it was very applicable. I still to this day keep my main textbook from ADI up there in my office if I need to go to it. So it's very applicable, and that's what I love about them having there it is. So the professors being in there, John and Arzu, and the experience and the fact they've been in the industry, within the past few months, it's just invaluable
Right.
because it's what to actually expect rather than this is what we're telling you. And then you get to a dealership and like, I don't know why they told you that.
Right.
It has not been like that at all.
Good.
It has been phenomenal.
And I think that goes back to the point of, getting a 4-week condensed program that is real time. I mean, it's applicable to today, is beneficial for the dealerships that are looking to hire people versus, oh, I was a finance manager for an auto dealership 23 years ago, and I did it for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. It's like, well, yeah, that doesn't even count because so much has changed over that course of time. So getting that
That's
real
right.
time information is valuable, and I think that for a lot of things out there, what happens is you may go to college and you may say, hey, I want a finance degree, right? And you go through it, and sure, you get the fundamentals, right? That's cool.
Hmm.
But it took you 4 years to get that. The things from 4 years ago don't even really apply because there's been so many changes by the time you get out. So it's not as valuable as people think. My take is, look, if if your end result absolutely needs a degree, like you're going to go be a school teacher or a
Hmm.
doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and you need all these different things, then of course you have to. But if it doesn't, then look for something that is going to get you there quicker. Start getting money in your pocket. And if you have, in this example, post 9/11 GI Bill left, well, then after you get your feet on the ground, then start doing a little school on the side to get that BAH coming in, and then you're winning on both sides.
That's
Now
right.
that you talked about it a little bit, so just to kind of remind people where we're at here, you might not be currently looking for a job. You might be maybe thinking about it. If this is something that is interesting to you, you think you might fit into working at an automobile dealership, being a finance manager, all of that stuff, utilizing VRE, utilizing post 9/11 to make that happen. Reach out to ADI. Their information's in the comments in the description. And then you decide to make that phone call. You decide it's right. You get the 4-week training. You're fire hose fed with it. You got everything you need. You got all of your resources. And now you start looking for that job, right? So you're now in job mode. Like you said, they talk to you actually about how to set up your resume specific to that job.
Hmm.
So talk me a little bit through, just kind of, I know you already did, you'll reiterate a little bit, but talk me through hey, training's done, let's get you a job. Cool, because I don't even know where to start, right? So talk me through kind of some of the preparation and some of the assistance through that process.
Well, the preparation is great. You're going to do some mock interviews. They're going to tell you, like I said, you're going to kind of hit some key terms, what not to say, how not to talk too much. Sometimes it's better just to get to the point and be quiet. We want to sell ourselves and get going. And you're also going to discuss kind of where you're going in the country. Where are you going to be looking for jobs? Um, and really the last week, I would say even maybe Thursday, Friday of the third week, they're going to start looking in these areas that you tell them you want to go to. And hey, this looks like a good opportunity. Any place that you go to, if you let them know that you have an interview or you want to go there, they'll actually send out a letter from the school, kind of explaining an overview of the school. We did an interview on video. We did the F&I process. It was I believe, it was a 45-minute video that we get a link to that we can show somebody like, hey, I know I don't have the experience per se that you're asking about, but what I just learned is probably worth a year to a year and a half of the experience. And here's a link to the video to kind of walk you through. So everything's kind of set up for you, and it's not a hard process. It really boils down to yourself. I started school on January the 6th, and February the 27th, I had a job and was starting in the dealership. And I can tell you, I applied at about 12 dealerships in a
Wow.
week's time frame.
Yeah.
I got a lot of no's, but I finally got the one yes, and that's really all you need. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's ultimately what this business is about. You're gonna hear no more than you want to, but
Right.
just keep going. You're gonna get a yes, and it just the last week and a half of school, they're absolutely prepping you to turn in that resume. You call them. I called the school 2 or 3 times and let them know this is kind of what I'm seeing at the dealerships. What do I need to do? And we kind of tweak some things on the fly. So they're there during the school, after the school, and then obviously I just spoke at the school this past week. So it's a continuous process that the caring that they say is there. The GI
Yeah.
Bill paid for it for me, which
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
I think I called them in the first week of December, and I was able to get enrolled in the January class. So it's not a long wait either.
Right. Yeah.
So everything is it's been a phenomenal experience with them.
It's fantastic to hear all of those things because, a lot of times, um, you get lip service, right? People, organizations say this is what's going to happen, and then it just kind of peters out, fizzles out. Hey, we already got you in. Good luck, right? But you're definitely getting the support, and this has been a consistent message that I've heard is that the support is phenomenal. The training is fantastic. It's relatable, and the dealerships appreciate it. The fact that you applied to 12 and then got hired and you're there working um, really that quickly, actually it speaks a lot because I've seen people out there applying to other jobs, right? Not this situation, just I applied to 47 jobs, I haven't even gotten anything yet. So I think that that's refreshing for some folks to hear. Let's talk. I got two more kind of topics for you, and then we'll wrap up. I know I only got you for a limited time. So um, pay, right? Pay is going to be, in my mind, if we're talking about the entire nation, right? Something in a dealership in South Dakota is probably going to pay less than a dealership that's in whatever, San Francisco, LA, Austin, Dallas, whatever. So
Mhm.
from your experience, I guess even with you can give kind of a population size of kind of where you're at, kind of the metro area, whatever, surrounding towns, cities, whatever, about how many people are there, so people can understand geographically. And then what would you say is kind of an average pay for your specific area with a population of about that much?
So I'm in an area of about 100 to 150,000 people. I think I'm about 4 to 5 hours west of Dallas. So I would say in Texas specifically, I mean the pay and for all those wanting to know, you can actually Google F&I manager salary, and it'll tell you wherever area you're in. That's overall average.
Yeah,
But I would say the average in Texas is probably over 140 a year.
right,
Um, and it's going to depend again, like you said, on the population. Is it a big automotive group that can tend to pay a little bit more when you come in? Is it a small dealership? Is it a small dealership group? So that money is going to go up and down. But what I'm already seeing, and I'm going into my third month here, is if you apply everything that you've learned, that pay when you start, don't get focused on, well, they told me it was going to be this much.
right,
It will absolutely start to increase itself once you learn how to work these pay plans, work everything that you're doing. Your presentation is going to become your own and everything gets more
right,
comfortable. The pay is going to go up. So
right.
you can find the average, and I think the national average right now is 180 to 190,000.
Yeah,
Obviously, this area, it's not quite that much, but I guarantee in a year I'm going to be making a whole lot more than I was making when I started, and I'm making more now than what I was doing before I came into this business. So it's all a matter of just applying what you have, your motivation for yourself. Hopefully, the motivation is not just money, but I know that is a big motivation in this industry. I'm not naive to that either.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted to change.
Right.
So it's there if you want it, and it really doesn't matter where you go. It matters how you apply what you got and
Right.
just take advantage of those opportunities and start to network.
Yep.
Get to know people around the country that can let you know, hey, somebody's looking for this over here.
Right.
You know, your willingness to relocate has a lot to do
Yep.
with it as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
You know, that's a good point, and I actually bring this up when I do little plugs for ADI. Is look, if you're looking to move to a different city, a different county, a different state, the hardest thing is finding a job, right? Because usually, if you do it right, you find a job, you get that secured, then you move. It's a little harder when you do it the other way around. So, going through this type of a course really kind of sets you up to be able to move a little easier, especially if you have like a top 5 geographic locations. Hey, I'm willing to work here, 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 or here. You know, within a whatever hour drive or whatever. You know, it opens up your opportunities for sure. And I did Google, like you said, the salaries, and yeah, you know, I mean, depending on again where you're at, right? You could be in South Dakota or you could be in Miami, and so 70,000 to 198,000 annually is kind of the range, right? Big range, but 70,000 probably feels like 150,000 in South Dakota in a small town somewhere. I'm guessing.
That's
I don't
right.
know. I've never
That's
been there.
right.
So, all that to say is that look, at the end of the day, you know, being a finance manager, working in an automotive dealership, you know, it's not for everybody. Either as being a jeweler, either as being a mechanic, either as being a contractor, right? Either as being a lawyer. So, this is, I don't know. I've taken a liking to ADI, and I never worked in the automotive field, but I was in mortgages, and I did mortgages for 12 years, and it was, you know, I was commission only, and you know, it was a good time. I enjoyed that business, and I enjoyed the talking with people and figuring things out, and you know, working with people. And I liked numbers, at least in that sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing you know, algebra or you know, geometry, not so much, but you know, a percentage and you know what the payments are and that type of stuff. I enjoyed that type of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess I want to leave it with this, Michael. If if you were to talk to somebody who, let's just throw somebody out there, right? We'll throw out a couple different scenarios of people. Maybe it's a younger veteran who, you know, maybe they don't have the greatest paying job currently and they're still trying to figure it out. And this might kind of sound interesting, but they're not really sure. Or maybe it's a veteran who's been around for a while and maybe they're doing something that's a little more physical and their body's just breaking down. And they're like, you know what, I need to find something different because I can't keep doing this. My back, my neck, right? Yeah, I mean, it's all of our story, right? So,
Right.
um, and they're thinking, you know, I've never done anything like this. This isn't, you know, I don't know, but you know, I mean, I maybe. So, what would you say to people who might be on the fence about doing this? You know, what would kind of be your conversation with them?
Well, so that's a great question. So this is exactly what I would say. You have however long you spend in the military, you get these benefits. And my belief was always, I'm going to give everything I have to the military, but I'm going to take advantage of everything they're giving me too. So I've earned
Amen.
it. So I would say if you are in a position where you don't really know what to do, you're looking around and maybe it's like, I don't know if this is the best thing. Quite honestly, call ADI. You have your GI Bill. It's not coming out of your pocket. You may fall in love with it. What do you really have to lose? Why not do it? Why
Right.
not do it? It may turn out to be a great decision. If you get there after 4 weeks and it just doesn't feel right, you've really lost nothing. You really
Right.
have lost nothing. And that's what I would say. You talked about the aging. You know, I drove a truck for 2.5 years and I loved it. That's kind of the situation I was in, as my wife and I were talking, like, eventually your body will break down. That's just human nature. It's
Right.
going to break down. So is there something we can do that's less physical, that's still challenging and
Right.
mentally?
Yeah.
And that's what this is for me, is every day it's like a fun competition,
Right.
to get better and stuff like that. So I would just tell them, why not do it?
Right.
If you're in that situation, I mean, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to get done and go home and do the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
that's going to happen, you're on to a brand new career that you didn't even realize was, the stigma of the car business. It has totally changed in the last 30 years.
Right.
It is not the same business. So give it a shot.
Yeah.
Get in there, and truly give it a shot when you're in the class. I think that's the key to the class too, is opening your mind and understanding that they literally take people with no experience, and you will walk out of there with invaluable experience. Even if you go into selling cars and
Right.
not doing the finance position, you're going to have a wealth of knowledge, and you have a tremendous team behind you that's always going to be there to support you if you got questions.
Yeah. I said I was only going to ask one more thing after that, but I have one more thing now. And then we'll be done. I promise. I know we got things to do. So, and then this is kind of for my own. I guess I'm interested in this. I know that when we get out of the military, right, and we hang up the uniform for the last time, there's this. I don't know. We lose some of the brotherhood, sisterhood stuff that we had, right? The jokes that only we get. You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of think like that might be a little bit how maybe a dealership would be. When if it's a little bit slower, there's more of a camaraderie of employee base there than, say, if things were slow at the bank, right? You can't see the bankers, all getting around, like how we would. I would think. So, is that
Mhm.
true or not? Is there some sort of a kind of a camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood thing going on at a dealership?
At my dealership specifically, yes. And that's one thing that I think I'm beginning to thrive here, because it is about a team thing. I mean, it
Yeah.
literally, as a finance manager, if no cars are being sold, I'm not making any money. So
Right.
I got to make sure the salesman, as far as, we've got the guy that moves the cars around, the salesman, the service
Yeah.
department. It is a camaraderie. It's like, hey, we're doing good. Keep it up. What do you got? You see people every single day, and the hours can be kind of long.
Right.
So it is a very team built area, and I would say a successful dealership, that camaraderie is going to define whether you're successful or you're not successful. So yes, in that way, it is a lot like the military,
Yeah.
and that's what I
Yeah.
love about it.
Yeah. And that's, I in the back of my mind, that's what I envisioned. And that's why I think that it could definitely be a good fit for
Mhm.
some of us, right? It's obvious everything's not fit for everybody, but for some folks, man, this could be something where you actually thrive and you enjoy. You shift gears. You're BSing with your buddies. You're talking about strategy, whatever. You're giving somebody a hard time, and then next thing you know, bam, it's on showtime. All right, let's go, boom, boom, boom. So I don't know. I think that part's great. I really appreciate you coming on, Michael. Is there any last words you want to throw out that I'm not asking you specifically?
No, I appreciate you having me on. I love talking about ADI. I love the program. Just get out there and make it happen. Whatever it is you do, thank you all for your service. Thank you very much. Truly, you don't hear it enough, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Outstanding. Thank you so much, Michael. Hey, thank you
Yes, sir.
guys for watching. Really appreciate all of your support. And please share this video. Again, like Michael said, if you're even kind of thinking about it, make the phone call, have a conversation. Information's free. You might as well get it directly from ADI. They have a veteran liaison there that can help you out. And with that, we'll go ahead and end it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you very much. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.